Hey guys, this is Denise again with Baby Go Home Care. It's about 8 o'clock at night. I just got finished with my husband's 5th round of chemo, and I decided just to come up here and talk to you guys because that helps me just as much as it's helping y'all. So today we are going to talk about the 2-week rule. And that's something that I've talked about in other videos. And so here it goes, the 2-week rule. Okay, so y'all get comfortable. I'm gonna cross my legs. I've got a glass of tea here. So basically we're gonna talk about the 2-week rule, what it pertains to with a vaginal birth, with a C-section birth, and of course with a baby. So I'm gonna break it up in 3 parts. Well, mommy part and baby part, 2 parts. So pretty much for 2 weeks, this is what I tell my patients, that everything is 2-week rule. So it's pretty much you're on vacation for 2 weeks. No heavy lifting, picking, pulling, household chores. You're chilling out. The more you do, the less breast milk you will make and the less stress on your body. Your body has been through a traumatic experience. It's got to recover. So remember the 3 reasons why our breast reps: stress, dehydration, and pumping. Well, one of them is stress. Well, if you're physically walking around and cleaning the house and lifting things you really shouldn't be lifting because everything's loose down there, you're picking things up and vacuuming and trying to be a mommy right off the bat, you're going to wear yourself out, one, and you're going to decrease your breast milk and possibly increase your menstrual cycle. So you're chilling out. You tell everybody, I can't do it. If you tell mom or dad, hey, you know, I really need you to empty out the dishwasher. I need you to really do this because I'm focused on breastfeeding, or I'm focused on resting or taking my bath, or whatever you're needed to do. You let them do all the household chores. So you're moving around and you're doing things, whether it's vaginal or C-section, it is a 2-week rule. No heavy lifting, picking, pulling, household chores, nothing more than 10 pounds. That means you pick your baby up, or you can pick a car seat up, but you can't pick more than 10 pounds. And an average baby's 7 to 8 pounds. You topped off. So you don't even get to go to the store with your baby. You shouldn't even. So when you're moving around and doing all these minor little things, like you're just getting yourself some water to drink, or you're going to the bathroom, to help with that soreness and cramping, and your doctor most likely will prescribe that. And once again, I'm not a doctor. I'm just recommending things. Definitely you'll check with your doctor and your pediatrician if you're ever going to take any medications. But the 2 we usually tell people to take, it would be Motrin, and we give actually 600 or 800 milligrams in 1 pill instead of the 3 little pills. If you're wanting to take, 600 milligrams, it would be, if the bottle is 200, that would be 3 pills. So because 2 times 3 is 6. So everything's swollen. You're tense, like your face is swollen, your breast, your vagina, your legs, everything's inflamed. Take an anti-inflammatory, and they usually will send you home on some type of naproxen, Aleve, Motrin, ibuprofen. That's something that you have to, like I said, discuss with your doctor. But before you leave the hospital, ask them to prescribe you something. Say, I don't really want anything really strong. You may need it. You may need a Percocet or a Norco or a Loratab, whatever your doctor prescribes for you. But you may only need that maybe 1 day. So, but you're going to be sore and achy, and everything's inflamed, and it takes about 2 weeks for everything to kind of go back down. So ask for an anti-inflammatory. So with vaginals, I have moms always tell me that their bottom feels like it's about to fall out. And it does. It feels like the heaviest bottom ever. And if you're using, Kotex, or even Depends are a good thing to use, it hurts really bad. So using an anti-inflammatory, even if you don't think about it, you're like, God, my butt is throbbing. And it hurts because the episiotomy doesn't hurt in the front, it hurts on the back side, and nobody tells you that. And you're achy and you're throbbing and you got your period and you don't know these are the stitches or you're tearing them up. Try to take an anti-inflammatory, and if that doesn't work, then maybe take the you know, the pain pill that your doctor prescribed to you. A couple of tricks for a vaginal birth is when you're home and you're like, okay, well, some places have the Peri-Light now and some hospitals don't. So a Peri-Light was just a very large lamp that heat on your bottom, and you were able to sit there and you would pull your pants down, your underwear down, you would put your legs up and you would sit in the bed and you would put this light between your legs. And sometimes we put a sheet over you and you would do it for about 15 minutes and it felt great. Well, most places don't have that, and definitely when you go home, you don't have that. So 2 things I recommend is you use your hair dryer. Put a beach towel down on the couch or your bed, and then put a sheet up on top of you, and in between your legs, get your hair dryer. The simple trick on this is if you have a diffuser, some women have a diffuser for their hair dryer, you just attach it on, put it in a low setting, and put it between your legs. If you don't, take a pillowcase, wrap a rubber band around it, put it on the low setting, and put it between your legs. And while you're doing that, grab your baby and breastfeed or bond and skin to skin with them. You're doing 2 things at once. You're going to have to learn to multitask anyway, so might as well start now. So that's one little trick. Do that for about 15 minutes and you're going to think that's the greatest thing ever. It feels so good. Another trick is whenever you do all your peri-care, that means you know you've done your bottle of spray or your Dermoplast spray and your antibacterial soaps and things like that, and pat dry. Take your hair dryer for about 15 seconds, just blow from the back side with that hair dryer, and that helps those stitches dissolve. So stitches only dissolve when they're dry, and that area is very wet. So it needs a little help. So it takes about 2 weeks for that. That looks so stupid, didn't it? I'm so sorry. It takes about 2 weeks for that to heal and to dry and start feeling better. Another trick is that you can take a cup of Epsom salt or sea salt crystals and put them in a warm bath water. Put a beach towel down where you're going to sit and fill that water up. If you're breastfeeding, fill it up all the way above your breast and just soak in there for about 10-15 minutes. It feels so good. If you have a episiotomy and it's a 2nd degree or it's a 2nd degree laceration, I recommend 2 baths a day. If it's a 3rd or 4th degree, if we're heavy bit, then I recommend 3 to 4 baths. Whatever your repair is and how bad it feels is how many times you probably need to take a bath. Now, of course, your bathtub needs to be cleaned preferably every time, especially if you have a lot of moistures and oils in there. So when you're soaking in that bathtub, don't put in extra bubbles or scents or creams or anything like that. It's just some Epsom salt and warm water. Fill it up. If you have jet jacuzzis, that's even better. It causes circulation and that heat. And then when you raise it up, it makes the heat dilates, cold constricts. So these are going to be heated up and you're going to go, oh, I need to breastfeed. Drop that water down, say, Mama or honey, bring me the baby and breastfeed. Once again, you are multitasking. So heat and a warm bath are great. That will help. So whenever you get out of the bathtub, then take that hair dryer for about 15 seconds and blow dry from the back side again. And then do all your peri products and put your, if you bought Depends or your Kotex and your mesh underwear, put those on and you will feel a lot better. With a C-section, you cannot take a bath. You have to take a shower. So you would do the same thing, we just wash really good, antibacterial soap, and they may give you a peri bottle. You could kind of squirt it with some warm water to clean it, and then pat dry. You're not going to push hard. And then when you get out and you put your underwear on, just get a panty liner or a thin Kotex and put it right there on the incision if you've got what we call an overlay. So if it's been really sweat and there's moisture, because you don't want it to get any bacteria in that area, and a lot of times we're sweating and stuff, so if you notice that's really kind of staying wet and your overlay's not really drying out, then put a Kotex in there and change it out as much as you're changing out your pads. When you are laying down flat to sleep, I do recommend putting nothing right there, just your mesh underwear or your cotton underwear. No silk underwear, girls. It does not air. And we need air and we need circulation for this to heal. It will take, once again, also about 2 weeks for the stitches in your bottom to dissolve or stitches in your C-section. Whether they use staples or glue or stitches, it takes about 2 weeks. They're going to see you probably back in 1 to 2 weeks anyways. Look at it and see what the progress you've done and see if it is going to take a little longer. But an average person, it does take about 2 weeks again. Okay, guys, so in addition to the 2-week rule, a lot of moms ask me, how long am I going to bleed or how long I'm going to cramp or hurt? and it's about 2 weeks as well. So whenever you are breastfeeding, a lot of people don't realize this, your uterus contracts back down, and it's called afterbirth pains. It does cramp, and it lasts, like I said, about 2 weeks. The first baby, you won't feel it at all. You'll feel more of your episiotomy or your repair and your bottom. For the second and the third baby, you will feel afterbirth pains, because your first baby, your uterus is nice and tight and hard like a basketball, and it perks back and looks great, and it labors usually really great. Second and third, it's a little softer. Fourth and fifth baby, it's like a smushy balloon, and it's sometimes even very hard to labor a mom that's had 3 or 4 babies, because that lost its elasticity. It needs extra, oxytocin or pitocin to contract to bring the baby out, as well as it takes a lot more for that uterus to contract back down. Remember, it's almost the size of a good sized hen, and it has to get smaller than your fist. Your uterus has to contract back down, and it does it by 2 ways. One, a nurse rubbing your stomach below your belly button, which is called your fundus, and we rub to get all the clots and things out, especially if you're cramping really bad. I'll have moms that will call out and go, oh my gosh, I think I just delivered a small liver in the toilet. And I'm like, oh, well, you haven't been bleeding a while, and you just kind of passed a clot. And it usually happens whenever they finish breastfeeding, or that we rub their tummy, we pass those clots. So another way other than the nurse rubbing your tummy is when the baby latches on. When the baby latches on, then remember, these two connect. So whenever baby's latching on, it actually stimulates your uterus to contract back down. So a lot of times moms say, after I breastfed, oh my gosh, I had a huge clot pass, or I had to go change my pad, and that's pretty normal. But the positive side is when you are breastfeeding, your period or your cycle, whatever you want to call it, your menstrual cycle, tends to get less and less and less, to where almost probably on the day you're going home, if you've got a really good breastfeeder, for maybe a week, you're just wearing a panty liner. It will take several months for your cycle to come back, whether you're breast or bottle feeding. And sometimes you'll think, oh, this is my period. It may just been your bleeding that's going through that was left over, and you'll go from bright red to brown, and that's okay. So, but as a rule, I tell moms, if more bleeding than usual, or if it's running down your leg, or it's not stopping, or you're changing 3 or 4 pads in an hour, that's not normal. You definitely would like to rub the below your belly button for a good minute till it nice and hardens up, until you feel yourself contracting and cramping. But if that is to occur, you're bleeding too much, and you also, you didn't go out shopping and things like that, or you didn't do extraneous activities, or got hot, then there's something wrong, and you would definitely want to call the hospital where you delivered, or your doctor's office if it's during the day, and say, is this normal? Do you need me to come in? So when you're having a C-section and your baby's breastfeeding, I tend to not rub and stimulate that uterus that much, because I don't need to. So that's another perk. Whenever you're breastfeeding, those nurses don't have to rub on that tummy that just got cut very much, because it's already staying nice and firm, because your baby's doing it for you. Remember, y'all are connected. And that's a great help, especially to us, because we don't have to hurt you, and you don't have to take as much pain medicine because we're hurting you. But it will be uncomfortable for about 2 weeks. And then at the 2-week mark, you'll go, oh, I'm not even hurting down there anymore, or I'm not hurting when my baby breastfeeds. But it takes about 2 weeks, and the cycle and the pain kind of slow down at the same time. So for moms vaginally or C-section, a good tip would be, if you're worried about when you're walking, like I said, you feel like the bottom's about to fall out, and your stomach is just feeling really heavy, or you feel like you have to hold it up, get an abdominal binder. Or you may have already have a belly band. Use that. You're wearing a bra to lift your breasts up because they feel heavy. And when you take it off, you're like, oh my God, I feel like the bottom's about to fall out of my breast. Well, the same thing's happening to your stomach, especially if it's really hurting. Take that pressure off of there and lift it up. And that will help. As a rule, I tell moms, lay down flat, get you a large or an extra large, you wrap it up, and you can even use, a thing of Velcro from like Joann's, and just kind of measure yourself and stand up and wear it while you're most active. I've had plastic surgeons tell me when I would work with them that abdominal binder is good for about 6 hours during the day, and then while you're laying down and sleeping, take it off. If it's not a surgical procedure, if we're just worried about a little hernia, or we're trying to get back in shape, Wear that for about 6 hours during the day while you're most active, and then let it loose whenever you're sleeping or you're lounging on the couch and things like that. And that will help those muscles kind of tighten back up, as well as it'll make you feel better and feel like your bottom's not to fall out.
So guys, that is the end of the 2-week rule. It kind of got a little lengthy, so I decided to do a part 2 and 3, which will be moms with vaginals and C-section, and of course 2-week rule for your new little babies. So stay tuned and click below.
I'm glad that you were with me this evening, and I hope you continue to watch me, and by all means, you've got this. You can do it. I am proud of you guys. And if you have any questions or concerns, I would love to hear from you. Put it in my comments or send me an email. You've got this, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks, everybody, and y'all have a great evening.